to Ann Wagner of Missouri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing. As North Korea captures the world's attention, we must make the point here of remaining vigilant in responding to Iranian aggression throughout the Middle East. General Wald, who I'm sorry has left, I know that he wrote that the Iran deal positioned Iran on a trajectory to become possibly more challenging than North Korea. Ambassador Jeffrey put it well in his written statement. The U.S. must set clear, final goals for our Iran policy and make those evident and persuasive to all those at home and abroad. Ambassador Jeffrey, there may be as many as 60,000 Iranian-backed troops in Syria. It's no secret that the IRGC Quds force and affiliated militias are taking over areas from ISIS on behalf of the Assad regime. Such activities are not in the interest of the United States of America. How should U.S. policy change to counter the growing role of Iranian-backed forces that target Syrian civilians, undermine regional stability, and threaten U.S. security interests?
Well, first of all, Congresswoman, we have a UN Security Council resolution 2254 and a process to deal with the internal situation in Syria, because when that was put together by the last administration, I think 2012, there was an understanding by everyone, including even Russia and Iran, which are part of this process, that that internal situation is a concern for people in the region and for the international community, not just for Mr. Assad and the people of Syria. So we need to build on that and restore the centrality of that process, and it needs to be backed with an American presence in Syria. The problem is, under the authorization for the use of military force, that has to be fighting terrorists, but we're never going to completely wipe out ISIS and al-Qaeda there, and there's a good argument to be made to keep limited forces to protect those Syrian opposition in the north and in the south while we try to sort this thing out politically. That's pushback against Iran.
General Wald also raised an important military recommendation, and I'd offer this question to anyone who would like to speak on his behalf or about it. Would you suggest forward deploying our Aegis-equipped missile defense fleet to our existing bases in Gulf countries? And how can the U.S. better coordinate with Israel and Gulf countries to establish a comprehensive missile defense system?
We have 4 Aegis ships already in the Mediterranean, one of which is on station all of the time off of Israel. We have THAAD systems, and our allies have THAAD systems and Patriots and phased array radars in the Gulf and in Israel. There's a phased array radar in Turkey, and there are SM-3 missiles designed to intercept Iranian rockets in Romania and in Poland. So there's already a very robust...
You feel confident in our coordination with Israel and our others?
I think on that particular matter, at this point, yes, but I yield to General Wald.
I would just add one point, which is I think this is one of those areas, and maybe there aren't as many as there used to be, where there's actually real bipartisan cooperation on the ballistic missile issue and missile defense generally in the region. I think the Obama administration, the Trump administration have taken very similar lines on this, one building on the last. It is a constantly evolving threat, so our posture and our cooperation with our partners has to constantly evolve, but I actually think we are on a pretty decent track on this issue.
Ambassador Jeffrey, you wrote that U.S. military and diplomatic resources should be shifted away from ISIS and toward Iran. Paying more attention to Iran necessitates paying more attention to Iran's activities in Iraq and Syria. Why do you think the administration hasn't designated proxy forces backed by Iran and Hezbollah as terrorist organizations?
I think one reason is force protection. It fears that, particularly in Iraq, but also in Syria, that the Quds Force, as I mentioned in my testimony, will respond, and they will respond. It's just that we shouldn't be in the Middle East if we're worried about people shooting at us. We've had a lot of experience with Iran shooting at us, and the answer to that is to shoot back. But I think that's part of it. The other thing is there really is almost an obsession with the ISIS fight. When the Kurds declared their independence, the statement out of the U.S. was they should stop doing that because this interferes with the fight against ISIS. That fight's almost over right now.
Great, thank you. I'm out of time. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.